This is Jack's cat I adopted a few months ago. Anyways, what I'm here to show you is the Spiral 3. This is an incredible puzzle, very difficult, but a lot of fun. As you can see right here, the only unbandaged pieces are 3 centers, 2 corners, and 3 edges. Pause the video, use your bandage kit, and we'll create and do a walkthrough solve of this puzzle. I'm going to give a brief introduction, and I'm going to help you out the best I can. I am creating a bandaged cube, the Spiral 3, out of a Shengxiao 3x3 mirror cube. These are the pieces after I finished painting them, most of the pieces except for the core. I've taped them to pencils and covered up the mechanism, but covered the entire pieces with paint. I used pencils so that I could stick them in a styrofoam block while the paint dried. After using epoxy sculpt, I sanded the epoxy sculpt off with about a 250 grit. Then I used a 400 grit on the entire piece of the puzzle, and then a Scotch-Brite pad, and finally a really fine Scotch-Brite pad that buffs everything out to create a smooth surface. Then I used 2 coats of primer with a day apart between each coat, because I feel like the trick to spray painting is to really give the paint time to dry and cure so it's hard and not going to be sticky to the touch. I think this metallic blue color's come out really well. It was the only color that I had in my garage. Here it is, the completed Spiral 3 mod using mirror cube and paint. I was inspired to do this painting thing from a modder TXIMI style, Zimi style, I want to say. Came out really well. This first layer is a little sticky sometimes when I first go to turn it, but I've used some lube and everything works really well. It's not perfect. There's a few little nicks here and there. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a scramble. Alright, now to talk about the Spiral 3. It's a very difficult bandage. The only layer that moves right now is the white layer, is that top layer. Respectively, white and yellow are the tops and bottoms. I use white on the top during my solve. And like I said, none of the layers move right now except for the white layer. And the first step in playing with this puzzle is to scramble it, and it can be a difficult scramble. The idea of scrambling it is you really want to just try to mess up these unbandaged pieces, and everything else will get messed up too. This edge right here, you want to try to mess up this edge, because that's one of the first steps is putting in this equator. These pieces right here, the center bandage with this edge piece, there's an orange and green and a green and red. Those can just be turned into place. And then you got to get this one in. I think I work on this one first, and don't worry about this in the equator, this blue, orange, yellow yet. That's way later. So anyways, I'm going to show you how I scramble this puzzle. I turn this white layer 2 times. Then I'm going to turn this side twice. Give this a turn, this bottom layer, the D, a turn, and then turn this back. Now right here, let's see, wait, yeah, turn it right here. Okay, This is an important state. This is nearly a solved state right here. It's hard to imagine that after those turns, this would be a solved state. But most of the algorithms that I'm going to show you that I've created and that I got from the solution I had are from this position where this is the front, this is the right, upper, and lower layers. This position allows me to make R turns, F turns, U turns, and then with a 180 degree rotation of either the right, you can do a D turn, or the front, you can do a D turn. And that's because it's putting this vertical bar up here. And when the vertical bar is pointing up like that, then you won't be able to make a move like that. So I'm going to put it back the way it was. It's kind of easy to see how it goes back to a solved state from here. I'll put this green, red, and white corner over here so that when I make a 180 degree turn, it'll match up with this. And now I just want to switch this white layer with this yellow layer. And that's back to its solved state. The way to solve this puzzle, the walkthrough I'm going to show you, is like I said, it's first the equator, disregarding this blue-orange edge. The next step is to create this 2 by 2 by 1 bunch of pieces right here. This corner with these two edges, this corner and this center. After that, you want the top and the bottom to just be yellow and white pieces in any configuration, obviously leaving this. And from there, you can make 180 degree turns of the sides and quarter turns of the top and bottom when necessary. And that's pretty much it. There's a few more steps in between, but I'm going to call this scrambled. I've separated this red-blue edge that I talked about that was important to separate. It's hard to separate every piece in the scramble. For instance, this white-blue edge is still connected to this center, and this white-red edge is still connected to that center. That's okay. It's hard to give it a complete scramble where every piece is separated. This is good. Like I said, the first step we're going to do is to put in this green-red and this orange-green piece. Actually, it might be better to put in this blue-red edge between here. Depending on your scramble, you might find it easier to work on that first. We'll see. I'll do a little demonstration here and see if I can just move these bars into place, creating the equator. I do have this layer free to move right here, and I could position it there so this is in place. The problem is this isn't in place, so I'll have to move that out of the way so I can first turn this green-red into place. And because of the bandaging of this puzzle, it can be difficult to do this first step. Especially because this layer isn't free right here. I'm calling that the top because it's white. And by the way, I'm sorry if I over explain everything, and this video is going to be a long video. Most of the time I'm not going to show you me tinkering with this thing, trying to put it into the positions I want. I'm just going to demonstrate each step for you. So what I'm going to do now is, before I just start trying to do this myself and waste lots of time making this video, I'm going to pause it. I'm going to put in the equator and come back. Hopefully you'll be able to do that step yourself. Depending on your scramble, it's going to be different for everyone anyways. So that first step is finished. I've created the equator, including this red-blue edge piece, green-red bar, orange-green bar, disregarding this right here between the blue and the orange. Now I've gotten really lucky because the next step is not only to put the white blue edge and the white red edge across from each other, but to have this red, white, and blue corner attached to one of those edges so that it'll be easy to swing it out of the way and solve it. So I will create a situation that you're more likely to see. This is a more likely situation. You'll find that you probably have at least one edge piece that's connected with that white center. In this case, it's the white blue. And I've got the white red down here on the bottom. My equator's in. I have some freedom of movement with the top and at least one side right now. And like I said, I'd like to try to get the white red piece across from this white blue one. Or if I can, you know, right away I can maybe match this one up. So let's just see if I can get this across from that white blue one. I've got it next to it, but as you can see, this corner is not oriented properly. And this step of the solve, it'll take you a little while, but if you're like me, you'll eventually get it. You know, be mindful of the equator, that you don't scramble it too much. You're definitely gonna make some 90-degree moves, offsetting one of the equator pieces while you reorient this red, white, and blue corner. And since right now we're just trying to put this white red edge across from here. It's a difficult puzzle. I'm gonna put that back. Let me see. I think what I can do is I think I can turn that 90 degrees. See, I want to put this right here, but I'm bandaged, and that's a tricky part of this puzzle. So let's see if I can do this. Aha. That was like pure luck again. And the next step, we're still trying to create that 2x2x1 white corner block on the top. And since we've gotten this corner paired up with this edge, we'll just place it right next to this by moving it out of the way. We'll move it down. This is a 90-degree turn, and then put it into place. I've done what I've set out to do, and that's to solve this chunk of pieces. I can't turn the upper layer right now to kind of match it up with this red-blue edge. So I'd like to be able to do that to create some freedom here. I'm going to give this face a 180-degree turn. Turn it back 180 degrees so that one of the problems right here is that this vertical bar is facing up, and for our ideal position, we want it facing down, and that gives us more movement. We do have the right front and bottom sides, which is fine, but ideally with white on top, we'd like this facing down. And that's not hard. That just takes a little bit of maneuvering here. Let's see if we can figure it out kind of without any algorithms. Yeah. Perfect. So we still have our equator. We have our chunk of pieces right here. We do want it turned off over here so that we have this state right here. And from here, the next step is to place the white and yellow pieces on here and on here. We don't want any white or yellow pieces on any of the sides. So we have this is that vertical bar that's going to be facing down. And we have this, and that's no good. As we can see that these pieces are all white and yellow. This one is not, so typically we'd want to put this up here like that. So it's like that. It doesn't matter that this is the actual piece that matches up. All we're focused on is getting white and yellow pieces on the top and trying to maintain that equator. And as you can see, I turned it off right here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get into some algorithms that I came up with so that we can keep this puzzle in this configuration and get our white and yellow pieces on the tops and bottoms. I just saw a demonstration video of this puzzle being solved by YG Cuber, and he solved it in a minute and 51 seconds. It's unbelievable. I can't even imagine how he does it. This is the same guy that created a lot of the algorithms for the puppet cubes. We're about to get into a really tricky part of this puzzle involving the algorithms. I came up with most all of these except for the last one, which is interesting. That was on the solution I found. I created these algorithms working backwards from a solved state, keeping track of each move I made to create a problem or a situation which I could then reverse out of using these moves. This is by no means a complete tutorial. I cannot go over every possible case for this puzzle. So I encourage you to do your best and try to create one of these cases. All right, we have our first case coming up. Cube is in the proper configuration. We have a white or yellow piece right here on the front. And we have our single yellow piece on the back upper right. And we have a yellow piece down here on the right. And I'll post the algorithm at the bottom of the screen so you can see it. And this one's going to be F, D prime, F prime, D, 2R, U prime, R, D prime, F, D, F prime, R, U. And that's put our puzzle in the configuration we're looking for, where all our white and yellow pieces are on the top and bottom, and the cube's been returned to that configuration. Here's the next case I have a solution for, and that's again when we have a white or yellow bar right here on the front on this vertical piece. I'm calling this if it's on the front, and if it's over here I'll call it the right. And our single yellow square, small single yellow square on the blue-orange block is on the bottom right, facing back right here. And this one is going to be R prime, D, R, D, 2R, U prime, R, D prime, R, U, 2F, D prime, 2F. As you can see, we've got the white and yellow pieces on the tops and bottoms, and our cube is in that nice state that we like. Here's a case where we have a white or yellow piece on the right side here on this vertical bar, and our single yellow piece is on the back bottom left, facing back right here. And this move will be U prime 2R D 2R F D prime F prime 2R U 2R D prime F D F prime. Here's a case where we have a yellow or white on the right side of this vertical bar. We have our single yellow piece here, top front facing left, and we have a white or yellow bar on the front bottom here. That's going to be U prime, R prime, F, D prime, F prime, D, R prime, U, 2R, D prime, F, D, F prime. Here's another case with white or yellow on the right of this vertical bar. We have our single yellow piece here on the top front facing left, and we have this white or yellow bar here on the right upper right side. That's going to be U prime 2R D 2R U F 2R D prime R F D prime F prime D R F prime. Here's an interesting case where we have the right vertical is white or yellow and our back top right has the single yellow block on it. What I do for this is I do F, D prime, F prime, D, 2R, U prime, 2R, F, D, F prime, U, 2F, D prime, 2F. And this actually brings us to another case that we can solve it from. And that's the case with the white or yellow on the vertical bar on the right side, and our single piece is now on the bottom back left, and we do U prime 2R D 2R F D prime F prime 2R U 2R D prime F D F prime. This is a case where our right side vertical piece has either white or yellow on it, and we have a white or yellow piece on the top right. And our single yellow piece is down here on the bottom right side facing back. To solve for that, we want to do R prime, F prime, R, U, F prime, U prime, 2F, D, R prime, D prime, R. If you have this case where your vertical bar is solved and you have a white or yellow pieces on the bottom and top of the right side, you're going to do this algorithm, which is a R prime, F prime, R, U, F prime, U prime, 2F, D, R prime, D prime, R. Now we've created the case where we have the right side on our vertical bar is either yellow or white. We have our single on the top right, And that algorithm, let me just find it here. Our next step, which I find to be very important, is we want to place this piece right here, which I call the pocket piece, and that's going to be the yellow, orange, and red. Is it? Sorry, yellow, orange, and green. Yeah, we want the yellow, orange, and green piece here, because this center with this edge piece will be oriented over here, and we'll want this yellow, orange, and green piece down here in the back bottom left pocket. And I've got an algorithm to move it from this position down to here, and that's U prime, 2R, 2D, 2B, 2U, 2L, D, 2L, U, 2B, D prime, 2B, U, 2B, 2D, 2R, U. And that positioned this piece. So now this piece is where it's supposed to go, right next to this center and edge piece combination. And I'll show you another position that this piece could be in. So here's a possibility. This pocket piece, this yellow, green, and orange piece, is on the bottom layer, the down layer, and it's in the front here, and it needs to be here. And this one's pretty intuitive. It's going to be a 2F. Remember this is F. 2F, D, 2F, and that placed it U prime, 2R, D prime, 2R, U. And that puts our puzzle back into the configuration we want. And it's placed that piece. After we've solved this pocket piece right here, let's see if we can't just finish the puzzle. This white, green, and red corner piece, I know that if I turn this F face twice, it's going to match up right here, and then we might be able to finish the puzzle. Yeah. So close. So close. This is a great situation though that I can demonstrate to you, because this is almost like a parity case where we need to take a step back. And what needs to happen, because these two pieces need to swap position, what's going on here is that these edge pieces right here need to be rotated 90 degrees around this center. So we're going to have to break this and reorient it 90 degrees around this center. I have an algorithm I created to do that, which is very convenient. Let me see here if I can get that going for you. So before we reorient these edges around this center, we're going to want to put the cube back in its configuration that we've been doing all our algorithms for. Take note that sometimes you may have two edge pieces like these two that may need to swap position. Either way you have it, we're going to do this algorithm that's going to reorient these edge pieces around this center. So we just need to put the cube back in its configuration. Let's see here. All right, this is the configuration we want it in. And we're going to do this move to swap these edges around this center 90 degrees. And I also created this algorithm so that after we do that, we're going to continue to have white and yellow on the top and bottom. And we're also going to return to this configuration. 2R, D, 2B, U prime, 2B, 2R, 2U, 2R, D, 2B, 2U, 2L, D, 2L, 2U, 2B, D prime, 2B, U, 2B, 2D, 2R, U. Well, now that should have done it, and now let's see what we have. See where we're at. Do we have the pocket piece in? We don't have the pocket piece in, so we need to go back and put the pocket piece in. It's up here on the right. The algorithm for that is U prime, 2R, 2D, 2B, 2U, 2L, D, 2L, U, 2B, D prime, 2B, U, 2B, 2D, 2R, U. Let's see if we have our pocket piece in, and we do. All right, since the pocket piece is in, everything's looking good. Let's try and solve this puzzle. We're going to put this green, white, and red piece here so that when we do a 2F move, it matches up with this. All right. Do a D, and now, and that's it. And our puzzle is solved. There's one other important algorithm that I'm going to show you to complete this tutorial walkthrough solve. This is the last move you might need on your way to becoming victorious over this puzzle. So here's a situation where the top and bottom layers are solved. The yellow side is solved, including this vertical bar. The white layer is solved, but the equator is screwed up. You might come across this during your solve. And if you do come across this, I do have a solution for you. And this is a solution that was posted on the original notes I found regarding this puzzle. To solve this, the red side facing you, make sure this layer right here is kind of matched up like you see here. Puzzle should be in this exact same configuration. And you do a U, 2L, D, 2L, U prime, L, D prime, L. And this is going to be an equator move. Prime, as if you're looking at it from the top. E prime, like from the top. I don't know if that's standard. 2L, E prime, L, D, L prime, U, 2L, D prime, 2L, U. And that's it. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. Have fun with this puzzle. Let me know what you think.